You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I want to thank you for joining me here today on our Friday review. I love bringing you the best of the previous week of what's been going on in terms of research that I've read, books that I've read, nutritional supplements that I might be recommending, diet plans that I reviewed, all of these different things. I like to sift through the mountains of data and just bring you really what I believe could help you, what I believe matters, or even things that I feel that you could share with someone else, like someone else, whether it's a family member, a friend, a coworker, someone who needs this information, but maybe they're not as dedicated as you. Maybe they're not willing to listen to podcasts, read the books, read the articles, and they just need someone they can trust to share some of this information. So that's what I want to do today. Today is really a bunch of different things that I really want to bring you, and I've been thinking about how I can weave them into certain shows, but the truth is they're not full topics. So my Friday reviews, I like to bring you topics that just take a couple minutes. They're like 2-3 minutes long, but that I believe really can have a big impact on your life or someone else's life. So let's get into those right now. I was reading on Medical News today, and just one website, but I've checked it out, and I was reading this link between insomnia being passed on from mother to daughter or mother to son, basically a maternal link. And they were saying, this could have to do with something to do with genetics. The genetics could be passed on, or more, maybe it's a learned behavior, or it could be something what's going on in the house, meaning that there might be some arguments or yelling, or it could be even a bedtime routine. So how I'm looking at it is that they're posing a lot of questions, but they're not giving you a lot of places to look to how to figure this out. And that's a lot of times my issue with research right now is that, they pose the questions and they tell you, it's just genetic. Then they say, okay, well, that's just the way it is. But here's the issue with genetics is that it's really a cop-out, meaning that, everyone starts with their genotype, which is literally their genes. But it's epigenetics that we know. It's 95% is the expression of epigenetics, which is our diet, our lifestyle, our toxicities, and the things also that we're missing. So how I look at genetics is that, yes, we're all born with this code, but the code can be expressed in a multitude of different ways. So if you have a child with insomnia, well, why are their genetics being allowed to express in this way? Is it due to processed food and their body is now becoming depleted of magnesium and they need that magnesium to calm down the central nervous system? Or is it a learned behavior, an anxiety-based pattern because of a mother or father, but in this case, we're looking at the mother, as being someone who might be micromanaging or whatever it might be, or getting them too amped up for the bedtime routine? Or is it from a food sensitivity, meaning that every night at dinner, they're having a big glass of milk with whatever it might be, and that's upsetting their digestion, and it's bringing additional energy, it's bringing additional fuel to the digestive system in order to break down all of those hard to break down foods. So what I'm saying is this, is that at the end of the day, we all have a genetic code, but very rarely is it the end-all, be-all. It is a lifestyle. It is our environment. And I'm telling you right now, if you have insomnia, run a hair tissue mineral analysis. You'll get to see if you have an imbalance between calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium. Run that. It's pretty short money to be able to run that test and actually be able to see that. Run a food sensitivity test. If you run a food test, you're going to see if you should be eating gluten before bed, dairy before bed, eggs, any number of those things that can increase inflammation, that can really hurt your digestive system. Highly recommend those specific types of things. I mean, really, the data is absolutely fantastic. One more thing that with kids too that I've done the research on is that children that have higher omega-6 levels than omega-3, more prone to night terrors, more prone to nightmares, more prone to bedwetting, and more difficulty with sleep. So again, that's a simple omega-3 test that literally a little finger poke and you get to see why you might have ADD, ADHD, all these number of things if you have higher omega-6s to omega-3s. Just great things to run in my opinion. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to bring you is some research on fibromyalgia. Really, really important. We're calling this the fibromyalgia miracle pill, right? Because everybody's looking for the miracle pill. Well, what's this one thing with fibromyalgia? Now, in my opinion, I've seen fibromyalgia act up in a multitude of different ways. One of them being stress-based, one of it being mineral imbalances for sure, another being high yeast or gut-based issues, so running an organic acid test can certainly help with that. But I can't deny this, that a 93% of all fibromyalgia patients tested, so literally almost everyone, right? 93% were deficient in this one vitamin. And when they increased this vitamin to 50 nanograms per deciliter, they got a drastic reduction in fibromyalgia pain. Okay, what was that? It was vitamin D. Plain and simple. Good old vitamin D3. How much does it cost for vitamin D? About 30 cents a day. It costs nothing, like a quarter a day to get in a good quality vitamin D3. We offer vitamin D3 on our website, but a lot of great companies, they carry vitamin D3, and I'm happy to have you go with one of those, whether it's Thorne, Vital Nutrients, Orthomolecular. Don't go with a cheap one. Go with the real vitamin D3. It's inexpensive as it is. We'll link up to it today in the show notes for sure, but just keep in mind, if you have fibromyalgia, if you battle with inflammation in general, mystery pain, whatever it might be, just do a simple vitamin D test. Again, you can do this one right in the mail as well. You don't even have to ask your doctor. You can run your own vitamin D. Remember, it's about taking back control of your own body. Run your own vitamin D. Simple, super simple, and you get to see if you're deficient in it. Highest recommendation. Or if not, just take your vitamin D. If you're an adult, you can do 2,000 IUs a day. For the most part, we'll never run someone's levels too high. My sweet spot for vitamin D that I've seen in the research, functional medicine states this over and over, 50 to 70 nanograms per deciliter. That's the best place to be. Just look for between 50 and 70 on your blood work. I know the range is 30 to 100 or sometimes 32 to 100. That's an enormous range. The sweet spot is 50 to 70. Okay, hopefully that helps. My next one, before we get to one of my favorites here to talk about, but my next one is a simple way to get enough folic acid while pregnant without having to switch out your favorite all-in-one shake. So before I get into that, I just want to let everybody know this week starts our brand new natural vanilla flavor. So we've had the same vanilla for the past, about year or so. And again, the flavor is not about me, like my preference is. My preference is to keep it very neutral, keep it very light, so you can mix it with your favorite fruit in the morning. And it just takes on the flavor of your fruit. We've got a lot of feedback. People wanted it a little bit sweeter because when they're doing the Dr. Bell Detox, which is the same powder, the Daily Nutritional Support Powder, used to maintain after the detox, as it is during the detox just comes with some very special functional medicine and Ayurvedic detox-based herbs and vitamins and amino acids. But the new flavor is a little bit sweeter. People are loving it so far. We got in a bunch of containers that we use for samples. I sampled it around. We had about 4 different flavors to choose from. This is hands down people's favorite. I know that doing your detox is going to be even more enjoyable for those days 1 and 2 of the Dr. Bell Detox because you're doing 4 shakes a day. You might as well really enjoy that shake flavor. So check it out. Let me know what you think. I would love to get your feedback on that. It's called the Daily Nutritional Support Powder. It's an all-in-one shake. It's by far the #1 seller in our practice because it's what I do myself. It's what people do every morning or even after a workout just to get every vitamin, every mineral, all the antioxidants, and 15 grams of vegan-based protein powder all in one. Meaning that if you never did another nutritional supplement, you get everything in this one supplement, everything that you need to do. So I'd love to get your feedback on that. Again, my Equilibrium nutrition formulations are for you. They really are. It's for my practice, for my family, and it's for our community. And if you ever need to tweak it, or if you ever want a little bit different, let me know. And I mean, the truth is that if enough people feel the same way, again, taste is always subjective, but if enough people feel the same way, I'm in. I mean, I'm happy to do that because it really is about you. So now just an example of that, our daily nutritional support powder used to not be able to be made or not be able to be used for pregnant or nursing moms. And I found that was so important that they needed this shake as well. So all I did was I took out the detoxifying herbs. Everything else is exactly the same. Full multivitamin, full minerals, 15 grams of pea and rice-based vegan protein. This is a vegan formula. It is gluten-free, it's dairy-free, it's nut-free, it's soy-free, it's egg-free, it's everything free. It's hypoallergenic. I use it for my Crohn's, colitis, SIBO, candida, all my sensitive gut based private wellness clients. And of course, I use it for myself, but I wanted it to be used for pregnant women, for nursing moms as well. So they get all of their nutrition that they need too for their baby as well as themselves. But the problem was it does not contain the 800 micrograms of natural folate. And of course, you know that we're going to use the best of the best. So we use the methylfolate version of the 5-MTHF. It's just called Nature Folate or 5-MTHF, which is the best way to get your folic acid. That way it doesn't become toxic. It doesn't build up. So what's the workaround though if you're pregnant or nursing and you want to get yourself up to the 800 micrograms as is typically recommended, at least while you're a month or two before getting pregnant and certainly for that first trimester? Very simple. You just literally use a product called Folate 400 by Pure Encapsulations. I'm going to link it up today in the show notes. Super simple. It has the 5-MTHF already in it. All you need to do literally is one capsule, and this lasts you 90 days. This costs, it's $15, I believe, for the whole bottle that lasts 3 months. That means it's $5 a month. That's like, I don't even know the math on that, but it's very, very cheap. So if you look at that, 20 cents or so a day, super simple. You can just take one capsule of this with your shake in the morning and you get all the folate that you need. And then you get your full shake, super simple. And then you don't need to do that after you have your baby and you're nursing. You can just keep on going with the shake and you can use the omega if you would like. The daily omega support is what women love to use along with the daily nutritional support shake. So really easy. I get that all the time because I work with so many pregnant women in my practice. Some of my favorite private wellness clients is working with women hoping to get pregnant. So we work on fertility, we work on getting the body really clean, detoxified. Then we get a nice, healthy pregnancy, and then obviously healthy baby afterwards as well. Love working with new moms and love working with families. It's a huge part of my practice. I don't talk about it a lot, but really some of my favorite private wellness clients are families and especially moms who are really the matriarchs. They take care of the family. I mean, they take care of their husbands, a lot of times their spouses, their partners, their kids, and a lot of times they take care of their parents too. So again, I know how hard my wife works, and I know how hard my sister-in-laws, and I just want the best for them because really they're holding their family down, and I want them to be healthy themselves because too often they neglect their own health, and really just doing something like the daily nutritional support shake for breakfast is the easiest way because we know they're on the go. So making that smoothie for themselves, making that smoothie for their kids is a really great thing. And the last thing I want to talk about today is CBD oil for children. And again, you know that I work with obviously new moms and I work with families and I work with kids a lot. And a lot of times moms are trying to figure out, well, how can I help my child sleep better? Like we talked about in the beginning of the show, or they're a little anxious, or they have ADD, ADHD, they have inflammation, they might have seizures, they might have epilepsy, they might have all these different types of things. Well, I just want you to know the same podcast, and I'll link up the CBD oil page today. Let me just make a note here to link that up because after this show's over, life goes on, right? I get kind of caught up in everyday stuff like you do, but that's why I always recommend, if you can, just go right to the show notes page after listening to today's show. And even as you're listening to today's show, you should be able to link over to it if you're on iTunes, but by simply going to stephencabral.com/podcast, you can get to all the previous podcasts. And if you go to stephencabral.com/581, you'll go directly to today's podcast with all the lab tests, all the supplements, everything that I spoke about today. So here's the thing though. CBD oil is it's all stigma for a lot of adults because they think it's marijuana. They think that it's literally like smoking pot or smoking weed. weed or whatever it might be. But it's not. Literally, it has nothing to do with that. CBD stands for cannabinoids or cannabidiol. And really what it is it's one part of the cannabis plant. Now, keep in mind, cannabis is a plant. It's literally herbs. Herbal medicine is what this is. There's no psychoactive components, which means you're not getting yourself or your child high by giving them CBD. And we've had people write in like, I would never give my child CBD oil. Like, okay, I mean, but you'll give your child ice cream, or you'll give them Prozac, or you'll give them Adderall. Like, and again, I'm not judging at all, but just keep in mind, like, this is a plant we're talking about. We're not talking about drugs, and we're certainly not talking about GMO foods or, ice cream that's pumped full of hormones and estrogens and bovine growth hormone and, very high in food allergies or food antigens. So just keep in mind, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to help. And what I want to let you know is that these things are not drugs, and if it can prevent you from having to use drugs for your child, why not start here, right? So again, there's a study, and this isn't me, like I never in a million years did I think I would be promoting cannabis or in any way. And again, I'm not promoting marijuana. What I'm promoting is the cannabinoids, and the cannabinoids now are shown to kill cancerous tumors, to help with Alzheimer's. And again, if you haven't checked out my previous podcasts on CBD oil, I'm going to link up to it today. It's the store page, but you just scroll down on the store and you'll see the 3 podcasts. Literally, you don't have to buy anything. You can just check out the information on this. So vitally important because, again, this is just on PubMed. This means that it's been published by conventional medicine, right? By the National Library of Medicine, the National Institute of Health. And here's just one study. A trial of cannabinoids or cannabidiol oil resulted in a maintained decrease in anxiety. This is for a 10-year-old girl, and a steady improvement in the quality and quantity of the patient's sleep. So it helped, and this is just one of over 900 studies of a child reducing anxiety and getting to sleep better, right? Just by using a little bit of this plant called cannabis, or we're only using part of that, called cannabinoids, okay? So what dosage do they use? Well, they actually used a higher dosage. They used 25 milligrams. That's essentially a half a dropper of what we recommend. That's an adult dosage. But again, there's no dosage, meaning that's just, it's not adult, it's not anybody. So people are saying like, well, I'm not getting the effects that I want at a half a dropper, which is 25 milligrams. Okay, well, use a full dropper or use 2 full droppers, right? Like the dosage is based on bioindividuality. I can't tell you what your dosage is going to be. What's the dosage for most medicine? Well, about 10 to 20 milligrams, which is simply using a half a dropper of what we have, which is the organic CBD oil. Again, you can use anyone's CBD oil, but here's the thing. I get questions all the time saying, it didn't work for me. And I ask, were you using our Equilibrium Nutrition organic CBD oil? And they said, no, I bought something at my local natural food store. And I said, okay, great. Just let us know, what are the milligrams per serving? And they write back and they say it's 5 milligrams. I say, okay, keep in mind, a half a dropper of ours is 5 times stronger than that stuff that you bought at the natural health food store. And again, I'm sure there's nothing wrong with that, but it's a marketing ploy sold for a little less, no doubt about it, but it's 1/5 the dosage. So you essentially have to use like half the bottle to get the effect. And that's why it's really not less expensive. It's more expensive because you have to look at the per servings. If you multiplied 5 times the cost of that bottle and it was $40, will that be a $200 bottle? Like you can see how, it's just more marketing than anything else. And that's just the world we live in. It just is what it is. I refuse to play that game. And of course, like I said, you never need to buy the Equilibrium Nutrition brand. But what I am telling you is that we stand behind it. I stand behind it. It's the best of the best. I've sold at the lowest possible price for the best quality product. It just is what it is. It's the highest quality, organic, no pesticide, CO2 extraction, the cold process, the best of the best. So like I said before, a lot of stigmatism around using CBD oil, but if you have anxiety, if you have sleep issues, if you have, kind of, again, PTSD, any mood-based thing, I can't recommend it enough. The feedback that we get, the success stories that we get are literally second to none. It's one of the top products, amazing product. And if it works for you, great. And if you're not getting the results you want, do more. Like, just use more. There's no negatives to it. Again, the negatives are you might get really sleepy. And again, that's why experiment with it when you get home from work or whatever you need to do. Now, for children, what do I recommend? Well, I recommend just 5 drops. I recommend a small amount to get started. And then again, if that gets you the results you need, great. If it doesn't get the results you need, then you can increase the dosage without risk of harm. That's the nice thing about plant-based medicine. Very little risk to it, unlike drugs, which there are great risks. And again, if we need them, we need them. I'm not saying that you don't sometimes on small occasions for very short periods of time need some intervention. But again, I always want you to get back to that root cause. That's what we're working towards. So I could go on and on, but that is going to be enough for our Friday review. Really appreciate you tuning in. And if any of these topics today, fibromyalgia, insomnia, proper dosages of CBD oil in children, our new flavor of the daily nutritional support shake, or just improved flavor, using the natural folate for women that are pregnant, along with any of their favorite all-in-ones, any of these things are helpful to anyone else, please feel free to pass that along. Take care, enjoy your weekend, and don't forget to tune in tomorrow when we do our weekend Cabral House Calls, where I answer about a dozen of our community's questions each and every weekend. Take care. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing, and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.